How China became so powerful. From a broader historical viewpoint, following World War II, there was a significant shift in geopolitics. During World War II, the former centres of power, led by London, Berlin and Paris, and followed by Rome, were all decisively dislodged from their positions. Madrid and Istanbul were no longer taken into consideration. The United States and the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics became the two primary centres of power. Just after the World War, China was engulfed in an exceptionally violent civil war. The military struggle for control of China was between the Nationalists of Kuomintang under Chiang Kai-shek and the Communists under Mao Zedong. The Chinese Communist Party won the war. This culminated in the ascension of the Communist Party to power with the peoples torn into two states. The United States' global influence. On January 1, 1946, the policies and military actions pursued or directed by the United States and the Soviet Union became the determinant of the thrust of international relations and diplomacy. These actions helped to shape a new international order that included both a formally organized dimension, symbolized by the United Nations, and an unofficial dimension, represented by the Cold War. A certain geopolitical order was made feasible by the latter, which, in fact, molded and gave birth to the international order and made possible a specific geopolitical identity. The European states relegated themselves to the status of second-order powers, maintaining some historical credentials but possessing few levers of actual influence. By 1992, many observers had concluded that Washington had become the world's dominant power. Many people referred to the United States as a hyperpower. This is something that had truly only existed between 1945 and 1949, when it was the only country in the world that has the most sophisticated means of military destruction, the nuclear weapon. However, during those decades, a series of events that shook the world and affected the balance of power occurred. Remember that in the Western world, the United States was the only power with a global reach. It was de facto the world power, and its scope of power was ambiguous and was with variable influence. It has accumulated wealth and economic power that is incomparably greater than those of its competitors over the past decades. About this time, China was gathering economic and technological momentum that would shift the world's attention to it. The rise of China. Following the political changes instituted by Deng Xiaoping, which began in 1978, the People's Republic of China swiftly developed into a rising economic power that has shown no signs of slowing down or stopping. It embarked upon industrial reformation. With very visible support from the industry and the scientific development, it was easy to also carry out the university reform of 1979, with its central point of giving the teaching and studying of science and technology more prominence. China's educational system began focusing on the most important world scientific and technological developments at the time. China was combining a very serious military modernization with expanding diplomacy, as well as a strong orthodoxy in the management of its currencies and the regulated reception of direct foreign investment in order to achieve economic dominance. By 2001, the United States embarked on an unprecedented global expansion with the belief that it could exert control over the changes and political direction of Central Asia. This belief was expressed in two wars, the war in Afghanistan and in Iraq. A major strategic disaster was revealed. The two conflicts made it evident that global power is making an attempt to shift from the geopolitical center toward the Asian continent. In the last 2 decades, the Asia-Pacific region, as well as the routes that connect with the Indian Ocean, have become the epicenter of major economic development in the world. Despite the strong economic performances of the European Union and the United States, the world's largest economic and technological disruption occurred in China, Japan, and India. Furthermore, as if that paradigm shift was not enough, the region became home to the world's greatest population with a big population explosion. These nations have been experiencing a significant increase in scientific progress and technical application. Silk Road. The Chinese government launched the trade and political influence network known as the New Silk Road more than 5 years ago. This is the network that connects more than 60 countries through railway lines, highways, and seaports. China positions itself in the middle of that network and becomes its focal point. Moreover, through this trade network, it has become possible to provide a new worldwide significance to Chinese military modernization. This nation is rapidly becoming a formidable competitor to the United States, even though it is not yet on the same levels and capabilities as the United States. In the mid-1990s, Zbigniew Brzezinski, the renowned American Democratic strategist, predicted that the geopolitical battle in the 21st century will once again take place in Eurasia, the heart of the planet. It is clear from this prediction that, in light of the scenarios that we have previously discussed, the Cold War winner faces serious challenges in maintaining its position as a global leader in the 21st century. This has become even more apparent as China, a communist dictatorship, has emerged as the leading advocate of globalization, a process in which it has also emerged as the leading winner. It is a transformation that has captivated historians such as Peter Frankopan and John Darwin. They both are of the opinion that Eurasia's role in the contemporary world and in the centuries to come is central. They added that it does not depend on personal whims, ideological interpretations, or economic ups and downs. In addition, this role also includes the recovery of times, spaces, and normal rhythms of history in a process that can be considered a revolution in the way we think about history. This scenario is exacerbated by the conquest of the Arctic, which has been marked by the conquest of 5 governments that have established themselves as its owners and which China wishes to join as a geopolitical behemoth that has been revived from its historical problems as a result of climate change. There is a strong likelihood that the big global powers will be the United States, China, and India in the next decade, each with its own set of strengths, weaknesses, and historical forecasts. The great global changes and major geopolitical transformations of the last decade, however, have been led by China. It combines key characteristics such as sufficient and attractive demographic capacity, sustained economic growth, along with its ups and downs, growing scientific technological capacity, and increasingly recognized leadership, as well as a clear global strategy for trade and influence. The Trans-Pacific Partnership. As a result, the United States has responded in 2 ways. Firstly, the Barack Obama administration promoted the Trans-Pacific Economic Cooperation Agreement (TPP) as a mechanism to engender both a global economic agreement and a new diplomatic network. Second, the TPP carried a geopolitical alliance of key bilateral benefit for Washington with an old and staunch enemy such as Vietnam. However, during the administration of Donald Trump, the White House opted to fight Beijing, not because of its geopolitical actions and decisions, but because of its domestic policies. The Trans-Pacific Partnership, TPP, was eventually abandoned, and the United States pursued a policy of trade restrictions, tariffs, and sanctions. So far, these acts have posed a challenge for China, despite the fact that they do not signal the end of the country's economy. The boost was instead just what the country needed to diversify its primary trading partners, its geopolitical friends, and eventually better its worldwide strategic position in the process. It is clear that the Communist Party of China thinks significantly differently from other governments around the world and that it desires full global dominance. The only way to stop it is for everyone to work together and develop global regulations that will see their nation's economies and sovereignty insulated. Please let us know how you feel about the rise of China in the 20th and 21st centuries in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, comment, and turn on the notification bell. This is Learning Canteen.